Never know when this actually starts. Cool. Hey guys, so I read a couple of books, and so I thought I would do a quick update. Nothing too crazy, because if you're here, you've probably seen my videos, which they go wherever they go. So anyway, first one I read was The Vegetarian by Han Kang, and it was interesting. So this one is kind of broken up into three books almost, or three short stories from three different points of view. There are times where they intersect, and so you get the feelings of each of the three characters on a couple of different situations, but you also jump around in timelines to see where people are now and where everyone else is, and it wasn't quite as like disturbingly awful as I thought it was gonna be. The first 60 pages I would say are pretty graphic and pretty disturbing. The second story is just kind of weird, but I will say it transported you and it definitely made you think a little bit. Some of those images will be in my head for a while, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. The third story, so the first story is from the, um, basically, a woman goes vegetarian and her husband. The first story is told through the husband's perspective of this woman. The second story is told by the brother-in-law of this husband. You can hear sirens, I apologize. And then the third story is through her sister's perspective. Um, I don't really know what to say about this one yet. This one still just kind of sits in your mind for a while after you read it. I want to say I finished this one maybe about a week ago or a little bit less, but it stuck with me. So that's something. There we go. Okay, that one's done. The other two books I enjoyed a little bit more. This one I read almost in one day. I had read for about 2 days at work with it, so I was about like 40 pages in or something. And then over the American holiday weekend, um, I just sat down on Sunday and pretty much just finished reading the whole thing. And that is Watch Me by Jody Gehrman. And I enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I would. Um, the whole page turning descriptor that some books have on them, a lot of times it doesn't always happen with me, but I was turning pages pretty quickly. I will say so. Okay, so this book is told through two different perspectives as well. One is Kate. Kate is an author, a writer, and a college professor. Um, and she's kind of our main character. And then the other perspective is Sam, who is one of her students. And I loved reading from Sam's perspective. I would read Kate's stuff just wanting to get back to Sam, or be like, oh man, I can't wait to see what Sam thinks about this. And it always paid off because Sam was always, I don't want to say awesome because he was a misogynistic, sociopathic, sick fuck, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and there were some places in here that I just really enjoyed the writing. I tabbed some. Let me see if I can find what I was looking at. This one was kind of fun. Do, do, do. It's not necessary for us to agree with the with the character's logic, but we should be privy to it. there's a contract between writer and reader. We're happy to inhabit a psychotic character's troubled mind, but if only it sheds more light on the human condition. That's the difference between violence that's compelling and violence that's gratuitous. And so that takes place in her class, and it's a discussion that they're having about when you're reading a book about someone who's, may not be all right mentally, that then goes and does something violent. If you're reading a book about it, you want to understand what their motives are. You don't have to agree with them, but you have to understand it. And I'm like, yeah. And basically, this whole book is just understanding Sam's motives, and it's pretty awful. Yeah, well, there's a few of them. I don't know. I didn't have a pen with me, so I didn't mark it. I just like dog-eared the page so I can go grab it. But meh, I can do it later or whatever. Anywho, so I really enjoyed this one. Kate, the other perspective, wasn't my favorite character. There were some times where I'm like, my God, Kate, stop being stupid. But she wasn't as stupid as some characters can be, so that was good. But yeah, Sam's perspective really kept me going in this one. I was intrigued and enthralled and disgusted and everything. It was great. So I read that in basically one day. And then the last one I finished is kind of a special one to me, not the book necessarily, but the format. So it is in a audio CD because I just bought a new car. The first car I've bought in 12 years, and I am so excited. And it has a working CD player. I'm this excited because my last car basically had no features. Getting out of the doors was an issue. So I have a brand new to me car. And so I went to Goodwill and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting my car this week. So I should get some audiobooks. And so the only one that my Goodwill had was Elixir by, get this, Hilary Duff. Yep, that is the Hilary Duff you are thinking. I didn't know she wrote a book. She wrote it with Elise Allen. And so I was like, well, I have a 6-hour drive to go and get my car, and I have a 6-hour drive back to bring my car back. So I got a 6-hour book. And I finished almost all of it the first day. I took a couple of breaks on the way down, listening to it just because I was like, I want to try something else, and changing the CDs was kind of annoying, and I wanted to play with my new car. But I had a good time reading it. It wasn't the best book, but I will say a lot of the descriptions were really good, and I was like, oh, I'm really there. I can see what you're describing. I can see what you're saying, and I really loved it. Especially, I don't know if it was, because of the audiobook format or because of the writing or what, but either way. One thing I really did not like was that at the end, it kind of ended with more loose ends than I'm comfortable with. And I haven't looked into it, of course, but I don't think that this is a series. So I don't really know what the plan was for the end. It just kind of ended with questions still in my head. So I'm a little disappointed in that. But it was a decently fun read. Decently fun read. Yeah. Okay, so those 3 books are what I have read recently. Have you read any of them? Do they sound interesting? Let me know what you're reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Yeah? Alright.